Foreign Affairs Minister said she spoke to Kovrig and Spavor about the Olympic boycott. Chinese say that Kovrig and Spavor confessed to their crimes, while at the same time warning that banning Huawei would send a very wrong signal. This is the Great White North Report. I'm in love with the system. Never going home. I'm in love with... Okay, our new Foreign Affairs Minister, Melanie Joly, said she spoke to Kovrig and Spavor about Canada's diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. And I find it odd that we haven't heard much about what happened to Kovrig and Spavor while they were there for nearly 3 years. I'd love to hear about it, but they're probably been told not to talk about it right now. So Canada launched the diplomatic boycott of the games. I would rather go for a full boycott and just shove it right in the Chinese Communist Party's face. But that's what happens when you have a spineless government. So no federal government officials will attend the games, but Canadian athletes will still be allowed to compete. Now I do understand athletes, they work hard for 4 years, most of them do, to get to this level. For most sports, this is the pinnacle. Unlike the NHL, this is the pinnacle for most athletes. It should be noted that their case has not been fully resolved because according to Chinese law, they have only been released on bail. That's not a good thing because now those two can never go back to China. Not that they'd really want to, I don't think. And if they ever went back to a country that had an extradition treaty with China, they could actually be sent back to China. So that's not good. The fact is, China let them out but didn't clear the slate. Because China will never admit that it did hostage diplomacy. But I would love to know what Kovrig and Spavor had to say about their captivity. Meanwhile, the Chinese envoy says Kovrig and Spavor confessed to their crimes, at the same time warning Canada against rejecting Huawei. So responding to remarks by Melanie Joly, revised speculation about the matter. This is nothing new with communist countries. It's standard policy to have prisoners confess to their crimes. Forced confession is something they get out of you all the time. So they confessed to crimes before they're released from his country's prisons this past September. That was the only way they're going to get out. They had to confess. A lot of political prisoners have to confess to crimes, plus they have to write their own autobiographical of all their faults. So envoy Cong Peiwu also said Friday Canada will pay a price if it blocks Chinese telecom company Huawei from participating in the country's 5G internet. So of course, China convicted Kovrig and Spavor in espionage and closed trials that were widely criticized by Canada, who rejected the charges against the men in this trumped-up retaliation. And it was hostage diplomacy. It was stupid. It made them look bad. But of course, we don't hit back. I don't know why we have a spineless government. I would shove it right back in their face. Don't send our athletes to Beijing. Key point. If anything, we should have got, before we released Meng, we should have had her confess to her crimes. Now, Chinese state-controlled newspapers citing anonymously sources reported shortly after the release that two men confessed and also they've been released on bail for medical reasons and had to strictly abide by conditions. What conditions are those? Keep your mouth shut, basically. So in case of violation, China can resume in accordance with law the trial of the alleged criminals' acts at any time while on bail. So they can be tried in absentia, and if they ever get anywhere close to China, they can be sent back. So they are effectively homebound. Melanie Joly says that we want to make sure we work that out with the Chinese government. It will be a priority. No, it won't. Just say, forget you guys. Arrest a few of them, and then put them in jail, and then make them confess, and then put them on bail. Tit for tat. Now, the ambassador also warned that banning Huawei from 5G would send a very wrong signal, and Trudeau's government is stalled publicly on declaring which companies can supply equipment into 5G networks. Basically, we're looking at Nokia, I think, and Ericsson were the two main ones that we're looking at. So if we formally ban Huawei, the Chinese are already threatening us by raising the diplomatic states. They're warning us, and that it would be received poorly by the Chinese business community. It'd be sending the wrong signal to Chinese companies. Yeah, well, what happens? That's what happens when you steal technology, lie through your teeth, and whatnot. And he's trying to politicize the issue and to try to abuse and overstretch the concept of national security that is not conductive for people doing business here in Canada. Well, you guys set that up yourselves. Everything in China is politicized by the CCP, and they are threatening us. Now, the Conservatives have long pressed the Liberals to deny Huawei in a role, arguing that would allow China to spy on Canadians more easily. And yes, it would, because Chinese national law says Chinese organizations and citizens shall support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work. And there are a lot of mainland Chinese here in Canada that have recently immigrated to Canada who still have ties back home. The CCP will use the leverage of those left back in the mainland for those who are abroad, the expats. Their ambassador said they deny Beijing participates in espionage, something Canada's spy agency has accused China of doing. So who are we going to believe? Our own spy agency or some Beijing diplomat? So like I said, I would respond, I would see this as a threat, and I would slam the door right now and ban them. Just say, simply by saying that the ambassador's words were taken as a direct threat, and we are therefore banning Huawei. Throw it back in their faces. And if they continue to press, hey, don't send athletes to Beijing. Keep it up. We'll seize all the assets of Chinese Communist Party members in Canada. Meng Wanzhou, she has 2 houses in Vancouver. I would have seized those long ago. Pay for her court costs. They keep yipping. Hey, we'll get rid of all those Confucius schools and not allow Chinese students to come to Canada. They keep yipping. We'll raise the price of our food stuff that we ship to them. That's basically all we send is raw materials. They still yep. We can always go by the one China policy and shift recognition to Taiwan. I would be okay with that. But anyway, any Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of the Chinese ambassador's remarks. And wouldn't you guys like to know what really happened to Kovrig and Spavor? Please leave comments in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until next time, this has been the Great White North Report.